When a cable news network moves left, do all the anchors follow? I'll be talking with MSNBC's Chris Jansing. I'm Chris Ahrens, and this is Mediabistro. We're back with Chris Jansing here on Mediabistro, and it's no secret that MSNBC has moved left in prime time, but the perception from the viewer is that must be the case for the rest of the network, and I think Fox feels this too from the right. So do you feel like the whole network does lean that way? Do you feel it from the reaction you get from viewers? What do you hear out there? Is that your sort of political persuasion, or how do you make sure that you're right down the middle?
You know, one of the things I'm proudest of is that if you talk to members of my family, they don't even have any idea who I vote for or which way I lean politically, and there's no doubt what we are in prime time. MSNBC makes no apologies for that. I think we are a source of great information. I think the hosts that we have on in prime time are the smartest people around. And is it a struggle? Yeah, I think when people first tune in to MSNBC sometimes during the day, they may be expecting what they see at night, and they find out it's not that. Part of the reason why our ratings have been going up, because people have gotten very comfortable with the idea that they're going to get both sides of the story on MSNBC Dayside.
And have you ever felt pressure from bosses?
Never. And believe me, that would not be acceptable to me. Never.
Yeah. We talked about this a little bit in the first segment, but in cable news you don't get too many second chances. So it's live TV. Have you ever said something on the air that you wish you could have a do-over?
Of course you do. Of course you do. And I'm often our breaking news anchor, so I can get thrown in the chair, as I often am, and anchor 4, 5, 6, 7 hours I've anchored on a breaking news story. You know, I wouldn't want anybody to hold me to every single word that came out of my mouth, but if I do say something wrong, I correct it. I like to think that I get the important things right and most of the rest of the stuff right most of the time. But nobody's perfect.
Yeah. What's been your most fulfilling assignment at MSNBC?
Well, Christopher, it just happened to have been with you.
Oh, wow. Imagine that. Chris and I worked together. I think you're going to talk about...
Yeah, I think we're going to talk about Rome and the Pope. And I was literally on set in the middle of a show, and somebody came out and handed me a note and said, at the next break, you need to go home and pack and go to Rome. Pope John Paul's not doing well. So that's what I did, and I ended up being there for the better part of 5 weeks through his final days, his death, and the election of a new pope. I was raised Catholic, so that was a pretty big deal for me. I had some experience with Pope John Paul II. He had met my mother, and when my sister was very ill, she also went to see the Pope. So there were some very personal things that mattered to me. But more than anything, just as a story, the idea of millions of people from all over the world pouring in, it was just an extraordinary global event, a truly global event. And it was fascinating to cover, and also had some personal meaning to me. And I made some friends there.
Yeah. How does your faith sort of guide what you do on a daily basis?
You know, I think it's sort of like a politician. You never, it doesn't matter if it's your faith, your upbringing, all the parts of your life inform who you are as a person. But do I think when we're doing a story about that involves the Catholic Church, do I think, well, how do I feel about this as a Catholic? No, it's like, how do I report this as a journalist? What are the facts? What are the good questions that I need to ask my guests? What are the things that people want to know about this story? I don't think that ever changes.
Have you thought about writing a book about that experience?
I get asked that all the time.
Why
I've
not?
had an extraordinary life. I never imagined this life for myself, traveling the world, meeting presidents and popes and prime ministers, and being in the middle of history, watching history being made. I couldn't have imagined that, but I don't know. I haven't felt that calling. I do write a blog for friends and family, and I send that out, but I feel like there's so many great books out there, and I'm so in the middle of living this life and doing this job.
Well, we want to talk next about, you've had this global experience. What haven't you done in your career? Who would you like to interview? We'll talk about that next.